Okay, this section are all the things that we had to do in order to add, multiply, subtract, divide, and take a power to a power, but we got to use our calculator. Okay, so remember, exponents always function one thing lower. So we have PEMDAS. So when we're doing addition, one step lower from addition is nothing. So that means I'm going to do nothing to the power. I already know this is times 10 to the 11 because nothing happens to the power. This is what happens to powers. They do one step below the order of operations. So one step below addition is do nothing. So it's 10 to the 11. And then the numbers, you just do what it says. So 7 plus 2 is 9. Okay, same thing here. It's addition, so I have to do nothing. But in order to do nothing, it's kind of like fractions, like 2/3 plus 1/4. You can't add them unless they're the same, so we have to make them the same. So I'm going to make this one a 10 to the 5 so that I can make it add up with this 10 to the 5. Okay, well, I moved the decimal I moved the number 4 that way on the number line to make that happen. That means I moved this decimal that way. So if I moved 1 to the right, this decimal gets 1 to the left, so it makes it 0.9 times 10 to the 5. So I have 0.9 times 10 to the 5 plus 2 times 10 to the 5. Okay, see, now they're the same. Addition, do nothing, so it's 10 to the 5, 10 to the 5. I now know my answer is 10 to the 5. And now 2 plus 0.9 is 2.9. Okay, so that's addition. You do nothing. Okay, here's a multiplication. So look at multiplication on what are we going to do to the powers? It's one step less. We're going to add the powers. So the powers are 10, 4, 10, 5. Well, 4 plus 5 is 9. So I already know it's going to be 10 to the 9. And then you just do the regular things for the numbers. 8 times 5 is 40. So it's 40 times 10 to the 9. Okay, but 40 is not fixed, so now we have to fix that. So I'm going to take the decimal and put it there, so it's really 4.0. So if I go that way, 1, the 9 goes that way, 1, which makes it 10 to the 10. Okay, here we have division, so we got to look at the powers. Division does subtraction. Okay, so it's the top one, which is 9, minus the bottom one. So I know that when I subtract them, I know the power is going to be 10 to the 6. And now do the numbers. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, here's an exponent on top of an exponent. See what happens when we have exponent on top of an exponent? We do one step lower, which is multiply. So the power is going to be 5 times 3. So that's 10 to the 15. So I put the 3 on the 5, and then I put the 3 on the 7. So it's going to be 7 to the 3rd times 10 to the 15. This is the first one where you might need your calculator, because you might not know what 7 to the 3rd is. Okay, so I'm just going to take it. 7 power 3 is 343. So see, the powers did one level, which was multiply, but the numbers do what it says. So it's 343 times 10 to the 15. The problem with that is 343 is way too big, so I got to move the decimal that way 2 times. If I move that one 2 times, this 15 gets moved 2 times. So 15, 2 moves makes it 17. Okay, the next one is add. Add means the powers do nothing. So I already know that it's going to be 10 to the negative 8. And now I got to go and add 7 plus 6. So 7 plus 6 is 13. So the answer is 13 times 10 to the negative 8. The powers did nothing, and then you just do whatever it says. But that's too big, so we fix it to 1.3. If I go to the left there, I got to go to the right there. Now, negative, sometimes you got to draw a little bit. See, negative 8 is way back here. So if I go this direction 1, it makes it negative 7. Okay, the next one is add, so the powers do nothing, but we've got to make the powers work. So I think I'll make it a negative 5. I'm going to make this one a 10 to the negative 5. Okay, I want to look and see. It was at negative 4, and I moved to negative 5. That means I went that way to get it. So that means this 3.4 is going that way. Okay, so the negative 4 had to go that way, so the 3.4 goes that way, which makes it 34. So I have 34 plus 7.7. Okay, so I already know addition does nothing, so I already know it's going to be times 10 to the negative 5, and I'm just going to use my calculator for that part. 34 plus 7.7, I don't really need my calculator for that, but 34 plus 7.7 is 41.7. But that's too big, so I'm going to go 1 that way, so 4.17. That means the negative 5 goes 1 that way. So here was the negative 5, going 1 that way puts it back to negative 4. Okay, here's multiply. One step under multiply is add, so the powers are going to add, so I have negative 8 plus 5. So negative 8 plus 5 means the answer is going to be 10 to the negative 3. Now I'll just use my calculator to do the 4 times 2. So 467 times 233 is 10.8811. Okay, 10 is too big. I'm going to move it this direction, so it's really 1.08811. If I go that way here, I got to take the negative 3 and go that way. I'm just going to give myself a little visual. Here was negative 3, so going that way makes it to negative 2. Okay, here I have divide. Divide, the power is subtract. So I'm going to take 11, subtract negative 3. 11 subtract negative 3 makes 14. So I already know that the power is 10 to the 14 because two negatives make that really plus. And now 9 divided by 3 is 3. Nothing to do on that one. Okay, here's an exponent on top of an exponent, so I will multiply. So when I take this 7 on top of there, I'm going to multiply. So I already know it's times 10 to the negative 56. And then here I got to put a 7 on that, so it's 3.9 to the 7 there, whatever that is. So that's what I have my calculator for. 3.9 to the power 7 is 3.9 to the power 7 is, okay, I'm going to round that up probably to right there after the 1. So it looks like it's 13723.1 times 10 to the negative 56. It looks like that's a giant number, but remember it's a negative decimal, so that really means the decimal belongs 56 that way. So that's a really tiny number actually. But I'm going to fix it. So it goes 1.37231. Okay, that was 1, 2, 3. That was 4 moves in that direction. So the 56 has to go 4 moves in that direction. Well, let's see where negative 56 is on the number line. There's 0, so negative 56 is way back here. I'm going to go 4 that way. It makes it negative 52. Okay, here we have a subtraction. Subtraction does nothing. So these just have to be the same. Negative 14 and negative 14. Okay, good. They're going to do nothing, so it stays negative 14. And now I'm going to do the subtraction. 2.8 subtract 9.3. We have a calculator. Might as well just use that for that. 2.8 subtract 9.3 is negative 6.5. Okay, well that's good. We don't have to fix that one. Addition, do nothing. So all we have to do is make these the same. I think I'll make this one up to a 2, so I'm going to force this one to be a 2. Okay, on the number line, 1, 2, 3. So -3 was way back there, and I forced it to be a 2. So I went 5 that direction. That means this decimal is going to go 5 that direction. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 2 zeros in front of it. So it's 0.00126 plus 42. Well, 42 plus a bunch of decimals is just that. It's 42.00126. But 42 is too big, so I got to go one spot that way, so it's really 4.200126. If I go one spot that way, the 2 has to go one spot that way to make it a 3. Okay, multiply. Multiply is add the powers together. So our powers are going to be -13 plus -5. So I know my power is -18. Now I would use my calculator to do -5 times -4, but I just know that that's +20. Then fix it. So I got to move the decimal that way, so it's 2.0. So that means I got to move the decimal that way 1. Take a quick look where that is on the number line. -18 is way back there, so going 1 that direction is -17. Division. Divide is subtract. So I'm going to take the 9, subtract -10. 9 subtract -10 is +19. So I know the power is 10 to the 19. Now I'm going to use my calculator to type that in. -5.2 divided by 6.8. -5.2 divided by 6.8 is -0.76. -0.7647. Okay, well the decimal's got to go one spot, so it's -7.647. So if I go one spot in that direction, the 19 is going to go one spot in that direction, which makes it 18. Okay, and the last one, taking an exponent. Okay, an exponent on an exponent is times, so 8 times 1/2 is 4, so that's 10 to the 4. And then this one I just got to use my calculator for that, 3.5 to the 1/2 power. Okay, so I'm going to take 3.5 and take it to the power. Okay, I think I'll just put it in as 0.5 since that's the same thing as 1/2. So 3.5 to the 1/2 power is 1.87. And 1.87 doesn't have to be fixed, so that one is done.